Hello everybody, welcome to the HSMAI session on assessing your competitors, the customer perception. Today we're going to take you through a really short method of calculating your NPS score, NPS being Net Promoter Score, and then we'll show you how you can use that to assess against your competitors to see if maybe customers think that you're better than the hotel down the road. So let's start. I'll hand you over now to Shannon Knapp.
Hi, Jackie. Hi, everyone. Really good to be with you. That's just a little bit about us, so you know how it is that we've come to know quite a lot about this subject. And I guess the question we always have to ask ourselves as hoteliers is, do we really know what guests think of our hotel and of our competitor hotels? Because it's very easy to form an opinion and a mental score based on what we think our hotel experience is like. And that's an important view, but it's also more important to think about how our consumers and how our customers actually think about our hotels. So Net Promoter Scoring is, of course, utilized across many, many industries and businesses. And it's so critical in our business of hospitality because assessing guest reviews and thinking about what everyone else thinks of a hotel is such a critical part of our customer experience journey. And guests, you know, they want to think that they're staying in a popular place that everybody else loves. And so if we think of a hotel, that step of the customer experience journey has just evolved to be such a significant part of the journey and critical to increase conversion and more revenue. So calculating NPS, just to cover off the basics, is so, you know, as hoteliers, we send out post-stay surveys and to our customers after they've stayed or sometimes even on departure. And we ask our customers a few simple questions. Would you be willing to recommend our hotel? And that's where they become advocates and big fans of our property. So guest scores between 0 to 10, 0 being not likely to recommend and 10 being extremely likely to recommend. And that's, of course, where we want 100% of our guests to answer, but that's in a perfect world. Basically, you just take the promoters and detract the detractors and you get an NPS score. And if you're using a software platform that calculates this NPS for you, and it might give you a lot of reports and data and a lot of different templates and things you can do with this data, especially if your property might be managed by a global brand or even part of a franchise brand, you might have access to a platform that does this for you. And I always think it's interesting to know how the sausage is made, if you like, and how those systems actually calculate that data. And so what we want to demonstrate in this quick session today is how, even without access to a platform like that, you can do somewhat the same, even if your property is not using one of those, to quantify your NPS scores or to supplement the NPS rating system and to supplement the insights you might be getting from your NPS platform. So looking at the next slide, Jackie and I always like to remind everyone that NPS, of course, is not unique to our hospitality industry. We like to think that everything is just unique to hotels, but of course it isn't. I often get asked, what should my hotel's NPS score be? And well, I don't know, it depends. The correct NPS score is better than your competitors and better than yesterday and always improving over time. It's always to be compared, good to compare to your industry peers. And as we show in this slide, even companies like Amazon and whatever phone you have and telco providers, they all look at NPS scores. And the correct NPS score is very different by industry and depending on the type of questions that you ask in your survey as well. So looking at the next page where we're using reviews to calculate your Net Promoter Score, There's a trick that you can do by looking at publicly available information, perhaps in TripAdvisor or all the various different platforms, where we're just calculating very basically what an NPS is, even on your hotel, or you can do this on your competitors as well. So on the next page, step one is we just have to get the data. So the key figures in this example are total reviews, the ones that are excellent, and then the ones that are not so good. So now we should say as well that it would form a more complete picture if you were to do the same exercise and include the review data from TripAdvisor, Google reviews, all of your online travel agent platform reviews, and add them all up. And you can do that. In this example though, we're just using TripAdvisor just to demonstrate the calculation. So in this example, total reviews was 2,825, excellent reviews 1,274, and then the bottom 3 reviews. So if we add all of those up together, you get 600. And this screen is probably very familiar to any hotelier that looks at your own TripAdvisor reviews and looks at your competitors. So then in step 2, we simply take the bottom ones. So all of our excellent ones, which of course are our biggest fans, are our promoters, which would be the 1,274, divided into the total reviews, which in this hotel's example was 2,825. And so that just simply means that 45% are promoters, and then those bottom 3, which were not the promoters, we added all those up together, same exercise, and then we get a net promoter score of 22%. Now, a question might be, like I said before, is that a really good NPS score? Is that the correct NPS score? Well, I don't know. That's another, it depends. The correct NPS score in this example, 22, would be a great NPS score for this hotel if yesterday's NPS score or last year's NPS score was 15 or was even 20. That's really good. But if same period last year, or if last week this particular property's NPS score was 50%, then it's a bad NPS score. So just like in any revenue management metric, if you look at any one number just in isolation, all by itself, it's sort of meaningless. You have to compare it to another period of time or compare it to your peers, and then it really means something. And so if we look at the next one, this is where we start talking about your competitor set, and where we talk about looking at things in isolation. That NPS score of 22%, again, might be great compared to your own scores last week or same period last year. But if all of the NPS scores of your key competitors are higher than that, even though your NPS score might be better than your own performance previously, if it's still not as good as what your competitors are doing, then it still needs improvement. Don't you think, Jackie?
Yeah, definitely. And just to have a look at your competitors and see, sometimes it's surprising to see that you think that big brand 4 or 5-star hotel down the road will get better scores than you. Maybe they don't. Maybe that's what you think, but maybe it's not what the customers think. So always make sure you're checking that so that you really know what customers are saying, not what you think or what your competitor thinks. It's about what the consumers think that matters.
It's such an important point, because when I think about, you know, the revenue management meetings that I conduct and that I participate in, where we have a group of sales managers and marketing managers and revenue team and operations leadership, and if we have a view or an opinion of what our NPS score is or what our customer experience is, that's important, but not nearly as important as what our customers are saying. That's the real opinion that counts, because we are not always our guest. And so comparing what are quantifying using an NPS calculation in the way we've just demonstrated is so much more powerful and accurate than just going by the feels like factor. And so by looking at completely free, publicly available info on TripAdvisor and OTAs and even Google reviews like we've shown, it's a much better way to quantify those decisions, and makes it easier to then measure performance over time.
So Shannon, as the revenue guru in the room, I know you like the numbers. So if you surprisingly found out that your property is scoring much better than your competitors, how would that change the way you think about your pricing?
Well, the first thing I would do in that case is to first look at what the competitor's NPS score, how that starts to improve and shift over time. You could even, just with this calculation we've shown you, put it in a really simple worksheet and drop your competitors by property and then as a collective NPS score, and just have someone look at that once a week even, record that score and see what the shift and changes over time, especially now when we have a lot of properties that have either been closed over what 2020 has delivered to our industry, or they've been at really low occupancies. And as properties start to open and re-welcome guests back in, customer perception is going to be very, very different as properties start to reopen. So as part of the revenue management process, you would first want to track changes over time. And then also, if my hotel's NPS score and customer perception is dramatically different, better or worse than the competitors I'm looking at, I might also take a critical view of who I'm actually considering are my competitors. And do the customers that I'm trying to target or who I'm currently getting revenue from in my hotel, do they consider the same properties when they're searching for a hotel as the ones that I think are a competitor? So tracking changes over time and also making sure that the comp set hotels you're looking at are your true competitors.
Okay, thanks. So that's from the revenue perspective where you're always going to crunch the numbers, right? But also in marketing, we can crunch numbers too sometimes, I have to say. So I think what I would do from a marketing perspective, if some of these scores turn out to be surprising to you, is there's a couple of things you can do. So you can drill down into the sections of the example on the TripAdvisor screen that was back a few screens. You could look at just say cleanliness. How is that score differing to your competitors? You could actually nail it down to one of those 5 sections of where you're winning and where maybe you're not winning as much.
That's right.
And that might change something in the operations of the property as well. So you can look at it from the numbers perspective, and you can look at it based on, well, if my numbers are much higher than the competitors, maybe I can just shift my price a little, as Shannon will want to do. And you can also look at what's happening to the actual customer experience in the property. And that might change something about how you run something as well.
Absolutely right. And again, it just gives us a way to quantify perception in, not just for fun with math, but to make sure that we're tracking things and doing it in an accurate, quantified way. And I like your suggestion, Jackie, about drilling down per service level and per indicator to see where we're winning and the areas of the operation that might need significant improvement. Great idea.
Yeah, and especially since the coronavirus, right where the cleanliness score might be much more important to customers than it was previously.
That's right, and they're just looking at it with a very different, fresh set of eyes on hygiene, and maybe if your hotel has introduced contactless check-in and different types of in-room cleaning procedures, and that will start to reflect in your own NPS score and your own reviews, and certainly on your competitors as well. So certainly areas that I'd be recommending and have that my clients just, again, the ones that aren't using necessarily a big machine or a platform to do this, or as a supplement to those reports you might be getting, that you just take these scores for your own hotel and for your competitors, make sure the competitors is still the right comp set compared to pre-COVID and even last year, and then just drop these figures in a simple worksheet once a week so that you can start to measure over time what the changes are. And again, what we've shown you here is publicly available and completely free data.
Which is a bonus.
Certainly is. It only costs you time and a spreadsheet.
That's right. And then I think what you can also do is, if you want to, if there's some serious issues here or either on the positive or negative side, you could go into doing a SWOT analysis and actually check your strengths and weaknesses against your competitors and come out with some strategies around how to improve your place in the world. Place in your comp set anyway, maybe not the whole world.
Yes.
Have you got any more that you want to mention before we let people go on their merry way and do their SWOT analysis?
No, I don't think so, but we'd certainly love to hear from them, wouldn't we, Jackie? If anyone, starts doing this or tries this method we've suggested and has some success with it or has some more ideas around this, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, great. That's right. Please do contact us. I just thought I'll pop up here a couple of courses that we have in the HSMAI Academy that you might be able to do, some online courses that might help you in this. One's around the digital marketing side of things, and then there's a brand new one we have called Develop Your Hotel SWOT Analysis, where you can either start from scratch, and develop your SWOT analysis, or you can update your SWOT analysis. And then the digital marketing one maybe is for people who are not in digital marketing now and they want to learn more about it. So that's just a couple of things that we have, and that was a shameless plug, but we're non-profit, so we're allowed to do shameless plugs. And here's the URLs. So there's hsmaiacademy.org, and you'll find lots of certifications and certificate programs and individual online courses like that in there. And I hope very much that you've enjoyed the session. Thank you, Shannon, for your time putting this together.
Thanks, Jackie.
Thanks, everybody. See you next time.
Thank you.
Okay.
Waiting. Hi, everyone. How are you? We would love for you to join us on the 17th of June for our short, sharp NPS session, where we're going to talk about not only just the fundamentals of how to calculate Net Promoter Score, a little bit of fun with math, but also we're going to share with you a really simple way that you can get access to a whole lot of free, publicly available data about your property and also your competitors to see how you can use that NPS scoring to improve revenue and increase conversion. We'd love to have you join us. Hope to see you soon.